I always make sure to say goodbye to all the household pets before leaving. I tell my cat he's in charge of the house while I'm out. Cat's thinking, who do you think is in charge of it while you're here? When I was a kid, my dad would surprise my sister and I with junk night. We'd go to the grocery store and he'd buy us anything we'd want for the night. Candy, popcorn, surge soda, ice cream, etc. Then we'd get pizza or McDonald's and a video rental and have fun all night. He only did it like twice a year, but it was always a surprise and so exciting. I still do that with my girlfriend and I'll do it for my kids when I have them. When I was younger, I'd help my mum fold bed sheets. You know, we each grab an end, put the corners together twice to fold lengthways, and then walk towards each other to fold widthways. I used to always give my mum a hug at the end of it, with the bed sheets pressed between us. This would repeat for as many sheets as we needed to fold, 1 or 2 or 3, you know. Now I am 33 years old, and when me and my wife fold sheets together, we end it with a hug, plus she gets a little kiss. Whenever I eat, I always leave the best for last. Eat a little of the good part first, then move on to the less good parts. If the world ends in the middle of my meal, I don't want to miss out. When I was 6, me and my father made a cute little handshake. We did every day when he left for work and when he would come home. Now, 27, I still do it when I see my dad. One day when I have kids, I'm going to pass it down to them. Rushing upstairs or into bed after turning out the light. Sometimes I try to walk to prove to myself I can do it, but then I hear something and the adrenaline kicks in, so I book it. This is completely me. I'm just like tonight. I shall be brave and walk up casually. Takes about 4 steps. Here's small noise, duck this, I'm out. Whenever I go up my staircase, I still climb my way up. My kid calls it 4WD. I still bite the head and legs off of animal crackers before eating the rest of the cracker. I always eat the legs first so they can't run away. I like to hear them scream too. Whenever I eat a sandwich, I start from the crust, so I have all the fluffy part in the end. Been doing this since I was 5. I do this with Pop-Tarts. Once when I was a teenager, I was all dressed up for something, in heels, and I did a little mock tap dance in the kitchen. My mom looked at me with a little smile on her face and said, "You know, you used to do that when you were 2 years old anytime you wore your dress shoes." Still do. Dress shoes are for tap dancing. Fancy shoes are definitely for tap. I have a galley kitchen that leads through the center of my house. I like to do the traveling triple buffalo along its length to make my soul laugh. Although now I am larger and actually sound like a buffalo hoofing along. Tap dancing is forever. Still sit in the shower like I did when I was a kid. Hell, if I'm gonna stand there for the most relaxing time of the day. Edit. A few recurring questions I've gotten. I just sit in the shower. Don't have a chair, but now I'm thinking of it. I do clean my shower regularly, so it's quite clean. Also, I don't sit when I'm not at home. Seems gross to me. I do it regardless of if I'm in the throes of depression or feeling good. I can't sleep with any limbs hanging off my bed or the dead dog will lick me. Make sure the tongs still work every time I pick them up. Go to make the click clack noise. This guy tongs. When I was a child, my mother made a large round rug out of old pants. It's beautiful with lots of bright colors. We loved racing around it as children, pretending it was a round racetrack, or doing an Indian dance around pretending that the red center was our fire. As an adult, my mother gave me her old rug. I saved it from being trashed as it had no special meaning to her. When I'm pacing my house while talking on the phone or thinking, I catch myself walking around in circles on the rug. It's like my own personal sticky trap. When I go to the beach, I always draw a circle around our stuff, you know, to protect us from the sea bear. There's no CB. The circle works, guys. When I was a kid, I'd always eat one thing on my plate at a time. Unless it was something like corn and mashed potatoes. Then I'd mix that together. I'm a grown man these days, still eating everything individually off my plate. Apparently it's noticeable because people have questioned me about it. These days I just tell them that if I'm poisoned by my constituents, they'll know which item was poisoned. If I can't sleep on my stomach with my right knee pulled up and left arm straight out under my head, I can't sleep. Sucks when you have shoulder issues. Reverse the sides. But that's how I sleep when no other position will work. Makes me super sore in the morning, but at least I can sleep. Starting in kindergarten, when I got home from school I'd put my stuff down, go in my room, close the door, and lay down and stare at the ceiling for about 10 minutes. I still do this when I get home from work. My parents used to think this was incredibly disturbing behavior, but I've had undiagnosed, and now diagnosed, anxiety problems since I was very young, and this routine was a way for me to decompress from the day before I was forced to continue socializing with people. Edit. For those saying this is meditation and a normal behavior not caused by anxiety, depending on what your thinking patterns are at the time, laying down can be a meditative practice, or it can be a physical shutdown triggered by a massive overload of social situations and pressure that is inescapable throughout the day. As I explained it elsewhere, I lay down because it's like I'm drowning in my own head, and those 10 minutes of silence let a little bit of water leak out so I can breathe again. If anyone reading this takes those few minutes to relax for different reasons and doesn't have anxiety issues, that's awesome. I definitely do this because I suffer from diagnosed clinical anxiety, so it's unnecessary to comment and tell me that I don't. This is going to sound silly, but every night before I fall asleep I'll lay in bed and write stories in my head. I thought I would grow out of it eventually, but now the stories are just way more complex, lol. I thought it was just me. I have an elaborate sci-fi story going on and have done for years. I never remember any of it until I start falling asleep. I blow in my cup before filling it with liquid. I used to think that blowing in the cup would remove the germs. When I see the clock is at a specific hour exactly, like 7 o'clock, I'll very softly say bong that number of times like I'm a grandfather clock. Whenever I hear an airplane or helicopter I look up to find it. Walk on the side of the staircase so it doesn't creak as much. Didn't want my parents to know I was up and about. When I eat a cosmic brownie, I always eat the side with less sprinkle thingies first so I'm more satisfied when I finish the whole thing. At first I thought cosmic brownie was a term for a weed brownie I had never heard. When I pee, male, I hold my shirt all the way up with my chin. I do that when I ate because as a kid I feared I'd get poop on my shirt. Me too. One of my pervert friends took a picture under the stool while I was having a dump once and then everybody bullied me for it. Better safe than itty. When was this? In an airport on the way to Budapest. I thought you were going to say like grade 3 lol. I got my dog Snoopy when I was 10 years and ever since he was a puppy he had this love for lettuce. He would go absolutely nuts for it, and so whenever I had a sandwich or a burger I would give him some of my lettuce. Over the years it became a ritual that whenever I prepared any food that involved lettuce for myself, I would grab extra lettuce for him so I could toss it to him as I ate. He passed away 4 years ago after almost 17 years together, but I still find myself grabbing that bit of extra lettuce for him. When I'm on a hike I pick up a rock and carry it for about an hour. Then I put it down in a nice spot. I've done that since I was a kid so rocks could change horizons and see the world. Oh man. This is gonna sound so weird and I have no idea why I did this, and sometimes still do. As a kid, I liked to time how long I peed, but I didn't use numbers. I would repeat the names of the fairies and Sleeping Beauty in my head and count how many times I said all three. Flora, fauna, and Meriwether over and over, while peeing. Sometimes, I subconsciously still do this. It was so constant as a kid it's like I trained myself to recite this when I pee. When I eat marshmallow cereal, I always eat the cereal part first and save all the marshmallows for last. I sort multicolored candies, Skittles, M&Ms, etc. into their respective color groups and eat them one color at a time. But I save one of each color for last and eat that group all at once. As a kid, I was terrified of vampires. Due to watching the original made-for-TV Salem's Lot, I convinced myself that if I slept with the covers up to my chin, they couldn't bite my neck. Didn't work, but I still sleep with covers up to my neck when I lay down in my coffin in the morning. If there are any biscuits with layers that I'm eating, X, Oreos or wafers, I would always eat most of them by taking apart each layer and eating them one by one. I still play with toys in the bath for at least 20 minutes before actually washing up. Bath paints, crayons, little rubber ducks, etc. I'm a 30-year-old woman. It's fun. Whenever I'm walking somewhere, I still try not to step on the cracks of the sidewalk. Until a few months ago I stood up to wife. Had no idea I was doing something weird. Until my wife walked in and she has been making fun of me ever since.